गुड मॉर्निंग स्टूडेंट्स। सर चैट वो लोग कर सकते हैं नहीं कर सकते?
तो सर।
Raise their hands. Okay, fine. So students, kindly raise your hands. Let us have discussion about your queries, doubts in this chapter, in costing in general. So we are in a very interesting phase of this subject as a whole. We have studied material, we have studied employee cost, we have studied the basic including cost sheet, and now we are on overheads, which is, I believe, one of the most crucial aspects of costing. So students, raise your hands so that I'll unmute you. We can take up your questions and doubts. Yes, students. In the previous lecture, we studied the concept of primary distribution, secondary distribution. I explained you the different types of or different methods in secondary distribution. Let me just summarize whatever we did. So, for secondary distribution broadly, there are four methods divided into three categories. So first is the direct method. This method is applied whenever the service departments are providing services only to the production departments, not to any one of them. Step ladder method is applied whenever one of the service department is giving service to another, but that another service department is not reciprocating by giving service to the first. That is what is step ladder. Both come under the broad category of non-reciprocal methods. Why non-reciprocal? Because they are not giving to one another. And then comes the third category, that is reciprocal. This category is applicable whenever both are providing services to one another reciprocally. In this, there are two concepts or two methods. You can solve by the repeated distribution or you can solve by the simultaneous equation. Then we took one sum which we solved by all the four methods so that I could explain you the difference between the four, how practically all the four methods operate. And in this, the three methods or the three categories, direct, stepladder, reciprocal, will have different answers. But within reciprocal, both repeated and simultaneous will have the same answer because both are the same concept, same method, just there are two options given, right? So we completed primary, we completed secondary. Now we will practice more for secondary and then we will take up one or two sums where we do primary, secondary and ORR, that is the complete overhead costing in one sum. But before that, let me take you to some special sums where only secondary is asked in the exam and it is an important type of exam question. So I will request you all to take up question number 4. I give you all 5 minutes. Start working on this. Read the question. See what you have understood or not understood in this question. And also do the working at your end. Start doing the working. Come on. So question number 4. In the meantime, anybody has any questions, doubts, may feel free to ask. 4. In the meantime, anybody has any questions, doubts, may feel free to ask. So, should we take up this? Now, if you all have read this question carefully, what does the question says? There are 2 production departments and 3 service departments. Now, this is interesting. In this question, up till now we were having 3 production, 2 service. Now, in this question, I've slightly changed it. There are 2 production and 3 service. Now, first is overhead summary as per the primary. So as I mentioned, if secondary has to be done for that, first primary is required. So they have already given the primary distribution figure. So we start from here. So primary distribution is done. Now what is this? They have given you what quantum of service each department is providing to another. Now here, for the first time, we are not given the percentage as was given in the previous sums for secondary distribution. Rather that you are given the service allocation basis. You are given the service allocation basis. Now, what is important is we need to understand what it says. So, service department 1 is your maintenance. Service department 2 is power. Service department 3 is personnel. Personnel means HR. Now, what is important in this sum is they have not given straightforward percentages. In fact, they have also not mentioned which department, what base would be used. Now, please pay attention, students. In this question, why I selected this question? I found this question different from all the other questions in the sense that in this particular case, you are also required to identify what basis you will apply. Means they have not mentioned which department is going to provide what quantum of service to another. We have to identify it by the names given. Now we have to observe this maintenance department. So your first service department is repairs and maintenance. And what are the allocation basis they have given? Maintenance hours, kWh, that is kilowatt hours, and number of employees. Now we have to ourselves identify what could be the criteria for distributing the service of each service department. Now, if the department is a maintenance department, so what it is doing repairs and maintenance of machines of different departments. So what could be the reasonable or proper base? It would be maintenance hours. So for maintenance department, the basis that we are going to use is maintenance hours. Now, also we need to identify to whom this service is given. This service is given to production department A, production department B, to other service department power, and also to the other service department personnel. In short, maintenance is giving services to all other departments. Now this is interesting. Fine. Then we come to the power. So what is this example? You are not purchasing power from outside. You have your own power generation plant. So you are manufacturing your own power, and this is coming from this manufacturing power plant which is within your own factory. So it also becomes one service department. Now for power, we have seen that when we were purchasing power from outside, the basis that we were using for distributing the power expenses was machine hours into the machine capacity, which is measured in kilowatts. So we were taking HP, that is horsepower of the machine, which is measured in kilowatts, multiplied by machine hours. Here they have already given this. So kW is the kilowatt, that is the horsepower, and H is the machine hours. Now they have given how much machine hours each department is consuming. So this will be the basis for distributing power. Now power is used by all the other departments. So again, this service department is providing services of providing power to all production departments and also to the other service department. And then comes the last department, personnel, which is the HR department. And obviously the ratio would be number of employees. And again, there are number of employees in each department. So in other words, this department is again providing services to all the other departments. Now, if you observe this, and if I ask you which method they are adopting, so the method that they are adopting is reciprocal. I hope this is clear to all. I hope everybody understood this, that why I'm saying they are following the reciprocal method. Yes, reciprocal is clear to all, because when the services are given by one department to the other and the other department again to the first department, obviously the service becomes, or the category becomes, the category of reciprocal. That is, they are providing services to one another. Correct? I hope students, you are getting this. Perfect. Anybody having any doubts? You may please raise your hand. I will unmute you. You can ask your question. Right? So is it fine now? Perfect. But what is the best part of this question is, 1 second, Kasak, I'll unmute you. What is the best part is, so the category is reciprocal, but what does the question require you to do is, question require you to solve it by the direct method. So this is going to be interesting. Let me first unmute Kasak to see what is the question. Yes, Kasak, I have unmuted you.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर।
गुड मॉर्निंग बेटा।
सर मेरा यही डाउट था कि डायरेक्ट मेथड से वो बोला हुआ है, तो फिर मतलब रेसिप्रोकल बेसिस से हम कैसे करेंगे?
ना, आपका क्वेश्चन उल्टा होना चाहिए। आपका क्वेश्चन ये होना चाहिए कि डायरेक्ट बेसिस पे कैसे करेंगे, क्योंकि एक्चुअल में डेटा यानी जो आपका सम है वो रेसिप्रोकल कैटेगरी का है, मगर क्वेश्चन ने डायरेक्ट मेथड से करने को कहा है। सो द
यस सर।
क्वेश्चन वुड बी, अगर रेसिप्रोकल से करने को बोला रहता तब तो कोई प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं था, बिकॉज इट इज रेसिप्रोकल। पर प्रॉब्लम इसलिए है क्योंकि उन्होंने डायरेक्ट से करने को बोला है, एंड दैट इज वेयर द ब्यूटी ऑफ द एग्जाम इज। इसलिए मैं हमेशा बोलता हूं कि प्रैक्टिस के लिए अपने ही जो पास्ट क्वेश्चंस का डेटाबेस है वही प्रैक्टिस करो। ये सारे बहुत बेसिक सम्स मैंने लिए हैं जस्ट फॉर इंट्रोडक्शन ऑफ द टॉपिक, पर इसके अलावा आप जो प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हो वो पास्ट एग्जाम क्वेश्चंस ही करो। यस पूजा।
सर लेकिन इस क्वेश्चन में तो दिया हुआ है कि सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट केवल प्रोडक्शन डिपार्टमेंट को ही मतलब अलोकेट कर रहा है, तो आप कह रहे हो कि सभी डिपार्टमेंट को?
बेटा कहाँ दिया है कि सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट केवल
जो
प्रोडक्शन
allocate
को ही
the
एलोकेट
cost of
कर?
service department to production department.
बेटा वापस लैंग्वेज समझो, सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट प्रोडक्शन को ही दे रहा है ऐसा बोला है, या उन्होंने कहा है कि आपको सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट का केवल प्रोडक्शन को ही देना है? सी देयर इज अ डिफरेंस। आर यू गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? ओरिजिनल क्वेश्चन इज सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट सभी को दे रहा है। एज यू कैन सी, कैसे पता चला ये देखो, जो मेंटेनेंस आर्स है वो सारे डिपार्टमेंट्स में है, जो KWH है वो सारे डिपार्टमेंट्स में। इसका मतलब हर डिपार्टमेंट दूसरे डिपार्टमेंट को सर्विस दे रहा है, बट द रिक्वायरमेंट इज दे वांट टू अपॉर्शन इट बाय द डायरेक्ट मेथड। प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, ये क्वेश्चन का पार्ट है जो बोलता है अब आपको मगर एलोकेट ऐसे करना है। So it is not that the question is of direct method. They want you to solve it by direct method. Pooja, I hope I have answered your question.
Okay sir.
I don't think you are satisfied. हाँ बोलो, क्वेश्चन बोलो।
आप ये मतलब ये कैसे पता चलता है कि ये सबको दे रहा है? अभी भी नहीं समझ आया।
बेटा अभी मैंने स्टार्टिंग देखो, अगर आपने ध्यान दिया, मैंने क्वेश्चन स्टार्ट करते वक्त यही एक्सप्लेन किया था ना। पहले तो आप ये पता करो कि इनके आप सर्विसेज कैसे अपॉर्शन करोगे। तो मैंने कहा था नाम से, अगर ये मेंटेनेंस डिपार्टमेंट है तो इसके लिए कौन सा बेसिस यूज होना चाहिए, मेंटेनेंस आवर्स। ये आपको समझ में आई बात?
यस सर।
सी हमने प्राइमरी में भी यही किया
ओके
था ना,
सर।
अगर रेंट दिया है तो हम एरिया यूज कर रहे हैं, अगर लाइटिंग दिया है तो हम लाइट पॉइंट्स यूज कर रहे हैं। यानी हम खर्चा कौन सा है उस बेसिस पे आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं कि उसके लिए बेसिस क्या यूज करना है। सिमिलरली हियर, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन व्हाट द सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट इज डूइंग, वी हैव टू आइडेंटिफाई अ बेसिस फॉर एलोकेशन। फर्स्टली, इज दिस क्लियर बेटा आपको?
यस सर, अब समझ आ गए मतलब।
Now, if maintenance department has to be allocated using maintenance hours, now you will see the data. हमने जो मेंटेनेंस किया है वो किस किस का किया है, ये कैसे पता चला? सिंपली इट इज एज पर द मेंटेनेंस आवर्स गिवन। सो मेंटेनेंस आवर्स डिपार्टमेंट ए में भी दिया है, बी में भी दिया है, और इन दोनों में भी दिया है। सो आई एम डूइंग मेंटेनेंस ऑफ ऑल डिपार्टमेंट्स, करेक्ट?
यस यस सर।
एंड सेम थिंग इज अदर टू ऑल्सो। परफेक्ट बेटा?
यस अंडरस्टूड सर।
यस साई बेटा?
Sir, sir, here in the problem for three service department, for the first service department, after maintenance hours is adjusted, then service department figure will be 0. But again, when it comes to service department power, we have to distribute that 48,000 again to this maintenance department.
No,
So
no,
maintenance department is getting with.
Sai, I'm stopping you, interrupting you in between. This is what is the beauty of this sum. Firstly, have you understood this? That this sum is actually a reciprocal category question. That you have understood why?
Okay, my question is not that, sir.
No,
After
no, no, no,
doing
no. Let
all
me
these
complete.
three
Let me
adjustments,
complete. Let me complete. First,
okay,
you answer
okay,
me. Is this
okay.
question of reciprocal category?
No, no, sir.
It is. It
Direct
is.
method. Direct method.
No, no. It is a question of reciprocal category. Means one service department is giving to another and the other one is also giving to the previous one. So originally the question is of reciprocal category. Please, you all
That
are
is
mixing between two things. What the
that is
question is and what the question requires.
that is okay, sir. My issue is after apportioning the service department figures to three adjustments were done, then finally figures were came to this three service departments. Now it will be reallocated to production department.
Arey
That is
beta, so
my
you
issue.
are not allowing me to complete.
Please,
You
please.
first answer my question. Na? I am taking you to a conclusion. So just be along with me. So what I'm asking firstly, my first question is to everyone.
Okay.
Originally, the data
Okay.
of the question suggests that the question is of reciprocal category. Is this right?
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes,
But
sir.
this is why I selected this question. But they do not want you to do it by reciprocal because the sum specifically says do by the direct. Are you now getting this? So actually the
Yes.
sum is of reciprocal, but they are saying don't do by reciprocal, do by direct. Is this clear?
Okay, sir.
No, not okay. Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
So now, see why I selected this sum, because if the sum would have been of reciprocal and you are doing by reciprocal, that we have studied. If the
Yes,
sum
sir.
is of direct, you are doing by direct, that is okay. But now the
Okay.
sum is of reciprocal, but you have to do by direct. So the main question, like somebody
Okay.
asked, I think Kasak asked at the start, then how we will do it? This is what I want to explain. How we
Okay.
will do it? Now, when the sum is of reciprocal, it means all are giving services to one another, as you can see from the data. But they are asking you, don't do by reciprocal, do it by direct. So now answering Kasak question and then coming to your question, which will be answered automatically.
Okay.
I will do a reciprocal sum by direct by simply ignoring. If I ignore what one service department is doing for other,
Okay.
now automatically the sum will become of direct.
Okay.
And now answering your question, if the sum becomes of direct, will your problem be there? What you are asking, beta?
What I am
Your
asking
problem is
is
solved.
after these
Your
three
problem is solved.
apportionments, after three apportionments, again service
Everything will be
departments
zero.
are with figures. Are with figures. I'm telling.
Sorry, beta. After these three apportionments, all service department will be zero.
Okay, sir. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Not okay. Have you understood this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Why it will be zero? Why it will be zero, Sai?
After doing
Because
solution, we can understand. So please do solution.
Beta, see, solution solving is very easy. I want you all to develop your analytical skills because I will be solving one or two questions with you. I want to develop your brains to handle any type of question. That is why please focus on whatever I'm saying and whatever I'm asking. This is to develop your brains to handle all type of questions.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Now, your problem is कि sir, once I apportion service department maintenance, it will
Yes,
become
sir.
zero, correct?
Yes, yes,
But
sir.
when I go to power will give something to maintenance.
That is my query, sir.
Arey beta, so you are not understanding what I'm saying. You are sticking to what is there in your head. Just
Okay.
allow my point to enter your head. What I'm saying,
Yeah.
I am not going to do this. This is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Why I will not do this?
Okay.
Because the method is direct.
Okay. Okay.
I've ignored. See, I've cancelled all this. When I've
Okay.
cancelled all this means what? I will not be apportioning anything of one service department to another because this is what the question requires.
Okay. Okay, sir.
And once I do that, nobody is going to get anything in any further steps. So all will become 0, 0, 0 because it is a direct method.
Okay, sir.
Kasak, I hope that I have answered your question also.
Okay. Okay, sir.
So let me show you all what I'm saying.
Okay. Okay.
Students, please become proactive. Start using your brains how you will solve the sum because right now I am solving alongside you, but I won't be there in the exams. I am trying to develop your brains to handle anything coming in the exams. And for that, you have to be receptive to what words, what concepts I am focusing on. That will give you that special edge of handling any type of question. See, if the same question comes, no problem. But we are into a professional arena where even in your real professional life, you will be challenged, faced with new problems every time. And that is where you will be different. Otherwise, if the same repetitive question comes in real professional life, then students, you are not required. Now we have AIs which are in their primitive stage. In next 3-4 years, they will be developed. So they will, no industry will require you. Industry will require you for these type of different aspects which no AI, no software will ever be able to handle. And that is what I want you all to be groomed for. So now the question originally is of reciprocal, but the sum specifically wants you to do it by direct. And how? Kasak, this was your answer question. How? My answer is simple. Ignore what one service department is giving to another. If I ignore these, assuming that no such data is given, then what has happened? Now one service department is only giving to production because you have figures of allocation only in production. So automatically the question now becomes a question of direct method. I hope I have answered everybody's query.
Yes,
Please,
sir.
students, yes, ask your queries because the more the queries you ask, the more you will get clarity. You should fight with me, no problem. I'm open to fighting. Yes,
this
beta, tell me.
this query logic is ignoring of service department interdistribution. That we have to
Yes,
understand.
yes, yes. That is what I was stressing on. Correct, beta?
Yes, sir.
So now your problem is also solved, na, Sai?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have to presume that thinking we have to get.
Yes, and this thinking I'm trying to develop.
Once they have given direct method, we have to get that understanding.
Yes, perfect. Now you are getting the point. Super.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good. You should fight with me like this. I like fighting. Come on.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, Tambeshwari, go ahead.
डायरेक्ट मेथड और रेसिप्रोकल मेथड तो मेरे को समझ में आ गया, बट सर जब हम स्टैंडर्ड लेडर से करेंगे तो उसके अंदर तो एक ही सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट दूसरे को दे सकता है, तो यहाँ पे 2 है ना, 3 दिए हुए हैं।
करेक्ट।
तो सर उस टाइम हम कैसे करेंगे?
वेरी गुड तंबेश्वरी, मुझे मालूम था आप एक क्वेश्चन पूछने वाले हो, तो इसलिए मैंने क्या किया है, मैंने आपके लिए भी एक क्वेश्चन बनाया है। सी दिस इज योर क्वेश्चन तंबेश्वरी, नीचे लिखा है ना स्टेप लैडर, मुझे मालूम था, बिकॉज आई एम नाउ सेंसिंग हाउ यू ऑल आर ग्रूमिंग एंड दैट इज वेरी गुड. यही तो मैं चाहता हूं कि आप आगे भी सोचो, बिसाइड्स व्हाट वी आर एक्चुअली डूइंग. And Atambeshwari, the next question which I'm going to take is this question only, question number 8. Maybe in the
Okay,
meantime,
sir.
you can start solving. Everybody maybe
Yes,
can
sir.
start solving by the time I'm solving this. Good. I like this. Chalo. Students, whenever I'm teaching, I'm aggressive. Don't take me otherwise because that is how I teach. But that is also what I want you all to be. Your concept should be so strong that you also be very confident and aggressive in whatever you are doing, right? And that is what the industry wants. Fine. So be open to asking questions, be open to arguing with me. I'm very fine. Perfect. Great. So now let me take up the question. So I'm doing the distribution statement where I'll first take the figures of primary 120, 150, 20, 48, 40. 120, 20, 48, 40. Now this figure is already given in the sum. It is as per the primary distribution statement. Now I will start apportioning each department's expense, starting with the maintenance, then with the power, and then personnel. Now, what are the bases I'm going to use? I'll mention it here. I'm going to use maintenance hours here. I'm going to use KWH. KWH is the multiplication of HP into machine hours. And here I'm going to use number of employees. The amount which I'm going to distribute is the amount which is there for that particular department, that is 20,000. And my ratio of KWH is 80-20. Not KWH, maintenance hours. It is 80-20. Or simply 4:1, whatever suits you more, right? Now, if that is the case, 16,000 is allocated here, 4,000 is allocated here, here 20,000 is deducted, and we have not given anything to power and personnel because the question asks us to do by the direct method. Perfect. Then I come to power department. Power department has only its own 48,000, which I have to apportion using the ratio of KWH, that is HP into machine hours. The ratio is 4:16. So 4:16, or you can also write 1:4, whatever suits you, correct? So now if I divide it by in the ratio of 4:16, that is 1:4. So what I will get? $9,600 here. And something went wrong. $38,400. Correct? Again dash minus 48,000 dash. And then I'll take personnel expense, which is 40,000 only, its own cost, 40,000. And the ratio which I have to use is of number of employees, which is suitable for personnel. Ratio is 60-30, or simply 3:1, correct? So here I'll get 30,000. Here I'll get 10,000, again dash dash minus 40. So in one step, because it is direct, there is no reciprocal, there is no step ladder. In one step, you get your total overheads. Correct? Yes, Pranav.
So the percent ratio is 2:1, right?
Sorry.
So the personnel ratio is 2:1, right? The personnel ratio
Yeah,
is 2:1.
60-30. Sorry, it is 2:1.
Yes, sir.
So how much will I get? 40 divided by 3. It will be 13,000.
26,666 for A. Yes, sir.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, sir.
Great. So students, you all understood this, right? I hope everybody's doubts, questions got answered. Now I'm taking up Tambeshwari's doubt. That is question number 8. I request everyone to take up question number 8. Now in this question, there were 2 production, 3 service, and the method was personnel. Now Tambeshwari wants to know, please sir, what will happen if in the same scenario where you have 3 3 service departments, what will happen if the method is step ladder? No problem. There is answer to everything. So this is the question. Question number 8. Now what is given? A manufacturing company has 2 production departments and it has 3 service departments. The names are timekeeping, stores, maintenance. See, these names are very important because you need to identify the ratio that you are going to use, and the ratio you can identify depending upon what service they are giving. Now see, timekeeping is doing what? It is maintaining records of time of employees. So what basis we can use for timekeeping department is we can use number of employees. Similarly, what stores is doing? Stores is storing the material. Now when it is storing the material, when if you remember materials chapter, we studied that for all storage purposes we use different documents, and similarly for issuing the material also we use different documents. And over there, if you remember, we had read this word requisition. So the number of requisitions raised in stores will become the basis for allocating stores department expenses. And then finally, the maintenance department expenses will be allocated on the basis of machine hours, because more the machine hours, more the maintenance required. Now, this is the data given, and we have to do it by timekeeping. I'll give you all 2 minutes to apply your brains, then we will discuss how to solve. So, students, now there are 2 interesting points in this. Tambeshwari's question was basically, if we have a something like step ladder method, the question is, how do we start? Because step ladder requires a sequence. Why you require a sequence? Because in step ladder, one department is giving service to another, but that department is not reciprocally giving service to the other. So we need to select a sequence. Now, how do we select a sequence? One, they will be giving it in the question itself, like how it is given here. They have already said that you should do this starting from the timekeeping department. That is, first take timekeeping, then stores, and obviously the last department would be maintenance. But even if that was not given in the sum, still you can identify the sequence. That is, which department you should start with. Answer is simple. The department which is giving services to more departments, that will be allocated first. Now, if you see, for timekeeping, we have selected the base as number of employees because timekeeping is done for employees. Now, you have employees in every department. It means timekeeping is the one who is giving service to every department. So by default, even if this was not given in the question, from where to start, I would have taken first preference as timekeeping because timekeeping is giving services to all. Then comes the second one. Again, for stores, we have selected stores requisition. For maintenance, we have selected machine hours. Now, if you observe, stores, which is allocated on the basis of stores requisition are given in X, in Y, and also in maintenance. It means stores is serving to X, store is serving to Y, store is not serving to timekeeping because no data of stores requisition is given here, but stores is serving to maintenance. So stores is such a department who is also serving another service department, which is maintenance. Hence, my second sequence by default will be stores. And then when I come to maintenance, which will be apportioned on the basis of machine hours, is only present in production. There is no machine hour given in any service department. It means maintenance is giving its services only to production department, not to any service department. So by default, it will come last in the sequence. So had they not given this in the sum, assuming this sentence is not given, still I can do step ladder and I can myself identify as to which department I should start, because in step ladder that is important because one service department is giving service to another, but not reciprocally. So we need to decide who is that service department. Answer is how to decide on the basis of the data available. I hope I have made this point clear and everybody has understood this conceptual point also about step ladder method. Yes, students? Perfect. Great. Now, there is one more interesting point why I selected this question was one, because it is 3 service departments with the method of step ladder. Second interesting reason is, now look at this. For distributing timekeeping, we have to use employees. Employees are present in every department, including timekeeping also. Now the question will come whether I will distribute the expenses of timekeeping department to timekeeping department also. So we are going to charge timekeeping to other departments. That is correct. But since there are number of employees in timekeeping department also, it means it is also doing timekeeping of its own employees. And obviously I have to do that also. Like how I'm doing for all other department employees, I'll be doing timekeeping for my own employees also. So the question is whether I will charge timekeeping expenses to myself. Answer is no. And how no? Again, I will ignore this data. It means while distributing timekeeping, I'll only consider these 4 figures so that automatically my expenses get charged to others. See, I cannot charge my expenses to myself. Whatever are my expenses, I will always recover from others so that I can recover my full cost. So even though my department is doing some service for my own employees, I will not, or I should never charge it to myself. Otherwise, I will not be able to recover that much portion of the cost. So this is the second interesting point in this question, which I wanted to highlight, and that is why I selected. Yes, Hardik.
Sir, the reason, sir, I'm just asking for the logic. The logic would be that the employees in the timekeeping department is only doing work for production and different departments. Am I correct, sir?
See, I cannot say that they are doing it for the other departments only. Let us say we had one more department like canteen. Let us take from canteen point of view. In canteen also, there are some employees. Now, I want to distribute canteen expenses to all. Again, what ratio I will use is employees. And let us say there are 25 employees in canteen who are going to eat in the canteen only. It means canteen department is providing some service to its own employees also, besides giving
Yes, sir.
service to other employees. Now the question is, will I still charge to myself? Answer is no. And then answering your question directly, can I say that I am only serving the other departments? Yes, you are, because other department employees are coming to you for having their food, but you are also serving your own employees because they are also having food. So it is not that the department is not serving its own self. It is also serving its own self by providing food to its own employees. But as a rule, see, understand the logical part of this rule. If you are charging some expense to yourself, so that much expense will always be remain with you. How it will be exhausted, how it will be absorbed. So that will
Yes.
be absorbed by not charging to yourself. Correct?
Sir, if any of the department is having its own ratio in the service, it won't be charged because it will
Should be ignored.
carry on.
It
It
should
will
be
be
ignored.
carried on otherwise. Okay, sir.
This is what
Thank
I
you.
wanted to highlight in this sum, and that was the reason I have taken this sum.
Thank
Correct?
you, sir.
So, with this background, let us go to solve this sum also. So, same production, overheads, distribution, statement, summary, whatever you want to call it. Same columns. First, you have the particulars, then you have the amount, then you have the basis, then you have your departments, production and service. So XY, timekeeping, stores, maintenance. Again, as per primary distribution. The amounts that are already given as per primary will copy paste them 16, 10, 4, 5, 3. So it is 16, 10, 4, 5, 3. Now I'll start with the first department, that is timekeeping department expenses. The amount is 4,000. The basis is number of employees. And it comes to 40, 30, 16, 10. So 40, 30, 16, 10. So 40, 30, 16, 10 is 96, correct? So 4,000 divided by 96. So for the first department, I'm getting 1667. Kindly cross check. Second department, I'm getting 1250. 4,000 would be deducted. For the third department, I'm getting 667. And then for the last department, I will get 416. So this is how the first distribution happens. After this distribution, I get 5667, 3416. Now I take the second department, which is the stores department, for which I have 5667. And the basis is number of stores requisition, which as per the data is 2426. Correct? So the total of this is 50. So again, dividing this. So 2720. 2267. Nothing is allocated here. This becomes 0. And then you have 680. Now here this is 0 and this becomes 4096, which again I'll consider here maintenance department expenses 4096, for which the basis is machine hours. Machine hours are 2400, 1600. So it is 24:16 or 6:4, whatever you want. So 4096. So I get 2458. And I get 1638 dash and this 4096. So effectively this will also become nil, and now you'll get total overheads for both the production departments. I hope this is very clear to everyone. Anybody having any questions or doubts up to this stage? Yes, students, is this fine with all? Understood by all? Yes, Rachna has some doubts. Yes, Rachna.
Good morning,
Go ahead,
sir.
Rachna.
Good morning, sir. In
Very good morning.
production department Y,
Mhm.
along with 1,000, there's one more amount which is 26,000. What should we do with that? So what is that?
No, I'm not getting. What is 26,000, beta? Which 26,000 you're
In the
talking about?
same,
This
in
26,000, see, beta, it is a total. It is not of Y. It is like the outer column. Here also,
okay,
like you have
got
this outer column, right? It is the total.
okay, got it, sir. It was just beside Y, no, so
Yeah,
that's
I
the reason I
understand.
have.
Not a problem.
Thank you,
Fine.
sir.
Yes, students. Anybody else has any doubts or questions? I will understood completely the whole concept of primary and secondary with all these special variety of cases, right? Perfect. Now, as you know that what we are doing is we are trying to charge the expenses from expenses to departments, within departments production service, then service is again charged to production. Now after second redistribution, we only have expenses in the production department, as we have seen in all these sums. Now what we do at this stage after secondary, we find out ORR. How do we find out ORR? Simply, for every expense, now you have department X expense, department Y expense. This is now the total overheads of each department. We will select a suitable basis, whatever it is, and we will divide the expense by that base so that we get the ORR, overhead recovery rate, for each department. Now, what could be basis? It depends upon whether the production department is labor intensive, machine intensive. If let us say X is labor intensive, I will divide it by the labor hours of X. And if let us say Y is machine intensive, I'll divide it by the machine hours of Y. So I will get, let us say, rupees 410 per labor hour. This is the charging rate for X. I will say, let us say 270 per machine hour. This is the charging rate for Y. Yes, Srini, please tell me.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Sir, in this example, the service department for stores is 5,000, right? So can we start from stores, because the stores amount is 5,000, that is higher than the amount of timekeeping and
Okay, understood. So see,
yeah.
Srini has a new insight that if we have to start, can we go by the weightage of amount? Answer is no. I'll tell you why. Let us say I go by Srini's case. I start with stores. What would have happened if I would have started with stores? Stores is not providing any service to timekeeping. That is very clear because the ratio for stores is not given in the timekeeping column. So we would have charged stores to only maintenance. Fine. Now, after this, we would have selected timekeeping as the second higher amount is timekeeping. Timekeeping would have charged to stores and to maintenance because it is providing services to both. Now, again, some portion of timekeeping would have come in stores, which again you would have been required to distribute to all. So, if I would have started with stores, I would have required to do this working of stores twice. First, I would have charged this 5,000 to these three people whom stores is serving. And after I did timekeeping apportionment of 4,000, it would have given further 6,667 to stores. Again, I would have been required to apportion 6,667 of stores to others. So this would have unnecessarily increased my step. So that is why we don't go by the amount weightage. We go by the servicing. The person who is providing more servicing is selected first so that it is distributed to all. First. Yes, Tambeshwari.
अगर
Go ahead.
जो थर्ड नंबर का है हमारे पास मेंटेनेंस है शायद, है ना सर?
Yes.
हाँ, तो सर मेंटेनेंस के अंदर अगर मेंटेनेंस भी अगर दोनों को डिपार्टमेंट को देता तो सर ये रेसिप्रोकल नहीं हो जाता?
फिर रेसिप्रोकल हो जाता ना बेटा.
हाँ,
See,
तो सर हमें किसे इग्नोर करना पड़ता?
नहीं, इग्नोर क्यों करते? सी देन अगेन द क्वेश्चन वुड हैव बीन वेदर यू आर रिक्वायर्ड टू सॉल्व बाय रेसिप्रोकल और बाय स्टेप लैडर. अगर फिर आपको स्टेप लैडर, सुनो, जैसा पिछला सम था आपका रेसिप्रोकल, मगर आपको सॉल्व करने को बोला था बाय डायरेक्ट. नाउ लेट अस से अगर सम है रेसिप्रोकल एंड दे आर आस्किंग यू टू सॉल्व बाय स्टेप लैडर, which is your question, right? Then
yes sir.
See, whenever the sum will twist the requirement, they will mention कि who is giving to whom. आपको क्या assume करना है? First, let us say उन्होंने नहीं बोला रहता, then it is up to you. Like हमने कैसा किया था पिछले लेक्चर में, x और y दोनों को दे रहे थे, हमने assume किया x y को दे रहा है, y x को नहीं दे रहा. Then if the sum is not giving you कि आपको किसको लेना है और किसको इग्नोर करना है, then you should make your assumption and go ahead. But generally ऐसा क्वेश्चन नहीं आएगा क्योंकि फिर वो बहुत haywire हो जाएगा and everybody will be making different assumptions. Correct, बेटा?
Yes sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Sania.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, beta. Tell me.
Sir, can you please take practical problem of study material number 3?
Yes, I will take. It is relating to what, beta?
Sir, these methods only.
Okay. Give me some time. Let me first complete what I want to. I'll do it at the end. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
Perfect. So, students, if you all have understood up to this point, let me go ahead. Yes, Tambeshwari.
सर, यस सर, ORR आप सर अभी प्रैक्टिकली बता दे तो मैंने
वही
टोटल
कर रहे
किया
हैं,
है.
वही कर रहे हैं बेटा. ORR पे जा रहे हैं. Now we are going to go to a sum जहां पे हम तीनों steps करने वाले हैं. प्राइमरी भी करेंगे, सेकेंडरी भी करेंगे और ORR भी करेंगे. So that you get a overview of the entire ORR calculation. क्योंकि ORR 3 stages में हो रहा है. First you do primary, then you do secondary, and after doing secondary you do ORR, right? So let me take you to that sum. Again, I have selected this question 12 because तीनों करना है, plus there is something again special in this sum that you will realize. So तीनों मतलब क्या करना है? First you have to apportion it, then you have to reapportion service department. So this is primary, this is secondary, and then you have to calculate the ORR, that is overhead charging rate, जिसके लिए उन्होंने basis आपको दिया है क्या लेना है. Correct? So with this example, let us understand all the 3 stages. So again, the example is you are having 2 production, 2 service. The data given is direct material, direct labor. और इधर इन्होंने अच्छा क्या किया है? They do not want to spend us more time on primary because now we all know primary. And anyways, it is only mechanical, rent divide karo, repairs divide karo, depreciation and all. So they have simply divided that at their end only and they have given overheads. So till this point, things are given department wise. Now, what is the only thing which we are required to do in primary department or primary distribution is the power cost. Now, this data is given for power, that is the kWh. kWh is HP into machine hours. kW is for HP, that is kilowatts, which represents HP, and H represents the machine hours. Now, what is given? The power requirement of these departments is met by an internal power generation plant. So you have your own power generation plant. So you are not purchasing the power from outside sources like government or any board. You are having your own power generation unit. Now this unit is costing you, or the expense of running this is this amount, and it is not included above, means it is not yet covered in overheads. So overheads is except par, all other expenses like rent, depreciation, salary, everything is covered. So this is left to be charged, and this is what we are going to do as our first step. Now, out of this amount, out of this total, this much is variable. So obviously the balance is fixed. So let me first find out how much would be the fixed portion. Please, you all also parallelly do this working. So out of my total of 121,875, I have variable of 84,375. So my fixed element is 37,500. Now remember one thing, this whole is expenses on power only. And for power, the basis that we have been using right from the first sum is HP into machine hours, which is represented by KW for HP, H for hours, machine hours. Now, I have this figure already with me. The data is given. Now, the only interesting part why I selected this sum is your power expenses. Since you are self-generating, your power expenses has two elements, the variable portion, the fixed portion. And similarly, they have given you the HP into machine hours figures also twice. One is the power requirement at normal capacity, and the other is the power which is your actual power consumption. So this HP into machine hours also they have given in two methods or in two ways. One is the normal and the other is the actual. Now what we have to understand is our power expenses are also divided into two parts, and the HP into machine hour figure is also given in two parts. We have to do match the pairs. Which HP into machine hours will use for what type of expense? So answer is whenever fixed costs are given, you should use the normal capacity figures for fixed cost, and wherever variable costs are given, you should use the actual capacity figure for variable costs. So this was the new conceptual part which I wanted to convey to you all. That is why I took this sum. See, whatever sums I'm taking from my sheet in the class, they are the ones which are different. All other sums are replica of the sums which we discuss. Or best, I will suggest that anyways, these are all practice sums. Better you should take up exam sums, because those are the ones which are the question sums of the type which our institute asks. So that will be more better for practice, because that will be then your exam practice. Now, so this concept, I hope you all would have understood. Please keep in mind that whenever the expenses are variable, because variable depends upon how much actually you are doing, actually you are working. That is why for variable cost, you should select the actual capacity. And fixed cost, since it is the cost which remains fixed, it will not be affected by how much actually you are working. That is why you should use a capacity which is normal. Normal means what is expected. Okay, this much will be there normally. So fixed, normal, variable, actual. This is the only point I wanted to highlight. Now further after this, they have said after apportioning power cost, which will be the primary part, the service department overheads will be apportioned like this. We'll do that later. Let us first go to the primary part. So alongside me, you all also start solving. So production overhead distribution statement. Same format. You have particulars, amount rupees, basis of apportionment. You have production department. You have service department. Production is named as PD. Service department is named as SD. Correct. Now, this is a complete sum. So all data is given. You have direct material, direct labor. You have overheads, which is rent, salary, everything combined into one, just to save your time. And then we have the power generation cost, which is having two parts, variable cost and the fixed cost. Fine. Now we start firstly allocating. Allocating means picking up and putting it in the respective columns to which that expense belongs. So direct material, direct labor, if you remember, we ignore for production. So we'll consider only for service. So 10, 20, 20, 10. So it is 10, 20, and it is 20, 10. Then we take overheads, which includes all rent, lighting, everything except power. That will be taken for all. So 80, 50, 30, 20. It is 80, 50, 30, 20. Now, for power generation cost, we take the variable component. Variable was 84375. And the fixed component was 37,500. For variable, we will take the actual kWh, and for this, we will take the normal kWh ratio. That will be your basis. So what is the actual kWh? Actual is 1323. 13 is to 23 is to 10.25 is to 10. So it is 10,250. So 10.25 is to 10. Then this is 20, 35, 12.5, 17.5. So 20, 35, 12.5, 12.5, 17.5. Correct? Now, let us again find out the ratios. So firstly, for variable, 46, 61, 71, and no, 1323 is 36, 46, 56.25. It is total is 56.25. 1500 into 13. Please cross verify. I'm getting 19,500 here. I'm getting 34,500 here. $15,375 here. And 15,000 here. Fine. 30, 65, 85. 8824. I'm getting 8824 here. 15,441. 15,441 here. 5515. 5515 here. And 7720 here. Kindly check and confirm. Now I'll make totals. 80, 99 and 107, 108. 108, 324. 50, 80, 90, 99, 941. Yes, Hardik, beta. Tell me.
Sir, fixed overheads, production department 18118 है.
Sorry.
Sir, production department
हाँ,
18118 है.
कैसे क्या? See, what is the total?
14206
This is 55, 55, and 30 is
85
85. Correct? So let me
85.
just recheck. Divided by 85 into 20. No, but I am getting the same figure.
यस
Yes,
सर,
Tambeshwari.
यस सर, आप
I'm
राइट है.
I'm getting the same figure, Hardik. Please cross check at your
सर
end.
एक बार मैं चेक कर लेता हूँ सर, शायद
Karo,
मेरे
please.
से ना हो तो.
No problem. 10, 20, 60, 75, 80. So this is 80, 8, 9, 0. Correct? This is 88, 90, 20, 30, 50, 65, 65 and 7, 72, 720. These are my total students. Kindly cross check before we proceed. Chalo, 2 minutes I am giving to everyone. Please make a cross check if my figures are correct. I'm doing secondary distribution for this. The method is reciprocal, and in reciprocal, I'm going to use simultaneous equation method. Now in this method, let total expense of SD1 be X and let total expense of SD2 be Y. Students, in the meantime, make your workings just to cross check our figures are right or wrong. Yes, Manvi beta. Manvi. Why I'm not yes. Manvi beta, you had some doubt?
No, sir.
Acha. Now, for X, it will be own expense, which is 80, 890 plus. How much SD2 is giving to SD1? 20% plus 20% of Y. Similarly, Y is equal to own expense plus how much SD1 is giving to SD2. So SD2 is getting 10% of X. Hardik and everyone, I hope you all have done the workings and the workings are matching with my workings. Yes, Tambeshwari, Hardik, everyone who are doing workings parallelly with me. So it is matching with me. Okay. So I can go ahead, right? Pranav, Rishita. Okay, perfect, great. Tambeshwari, good. Rishita, okay. Now, substituting value of Y in equation A, we get. So equation A is this plus 20% of Y. Y is this 72, 720 plus 10% of X. So it is 8890 plus 72, 720 Cut 20%. 14,544 plus 10% into 20% is 0.02x. Now this will come on the left hand side, so it will be 0.98x is equal to 95,434. Is this right? Yes, Sai Kiran.
Sir, here we are arriving revised values of y now, sir. So we can put it as y1, x1 like that. Can we put?
Sorry. Please repeat.
Here we are calculating revised values of y and x. In
Right.
that equation, can we put as y1 or x1 or revised y, revised x like that? Can we put, sir? Because
But where is the
same letter means
where is the revised value, beta? Where is the revised value? I'm not getting.
x is equal to 80,890 plus 20% y is there, na?
Correct.
So that y is same y, yes, sir. Here is okay.
This is this y, na? This is
Okay.
y, na?
Not new y. Okay, sir.
Correct.
Okay.
So now finally x is I'm getting x as 97382 approx. Please cross confirm. Yes, Tambeshwari.
Ramalakshmi.
Please mute yourself, Sai Kiran. 97382.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Vidya, please tell me.
Sir, 973816 I got, sir.
हाँ तो बेटा वो उसी को 97382 किया ना रे.
There is no point, sir.
Sorry, you are getting 97381 point something.
3816.32.
381.6.
No, sir, 973816.32.
No, beta. Please cross check. 95,434 divided by 0.98. You are getting 97381.6. Please check. Yes,
Yes,
Tambeshwari.
Yes, sir. 97382 आ रहा है.
Okay. Now, the ratios are given. What are the ratios? For department X, 50, 40, 10. So it is 50, 40, 10. Correct? So what I'm getting is 48691. Three 38953 and 9738. And here what I'm subtracting is 97382. What I have distributed. Correct? So this total is coming to 82458. This is now getting negative. How much? 97382 minus 80890. So it is 16492 negative. Now I will distribute this 82458. Ratio is given. What is the ratio for the second department? The ratio is 60-20-20. 60, 20, 20. So 82, 458. 49474. $16,492. Yes, Manvi.
सर SD1 डिपार्टमेंट एक्सपेंस का जो थर्ड वाला है SD1 उसका 9738.2 आया है।
बेटा चेक करो, 97381.6 था, तो मैंने 1.6 को 2 कर दिया, सो इट इज 97382। करो ना वापस बेटा, इट इज 953434 तो आया राइट हैंड साइड, लेफ्ट हैंड साइड इज 0.98, so 95434 divided by 0.98 करो, you will get the answer. चेक करो, everybody has to cross check. Yes. Students, I hope you all are getting this. Now, after this step, both service departments have become nil, and this will be the total of my first production department. $108,324 plus 48691 plus 4947. 206489. Similarly, second, 38953. 1649. So I'm getting 155,386. So now this is my final total of production departments. Deepak, go ahead.
Sir, we calculated the value of service department 1, right? The expense of that. Don't we have to add 10% of service department excess value as per the equation B to calculate service department 2's expense?
But I'm not getting what you are trying to convey.
Sir, using equation A and B, we got the value of service department 1's expenses.
Right.
Which turned out to be 97,382, right?
Correct.
Similarly, don't we have to calculate the value for SD2 by substituting the value
That is
of...
anyways, see, that is anyways I'll get here. Na? Why I should waste time? Because when I will divide this expense here, when I divided, I gave 10% share to second department. Even if you do it in the equation, you'll get the same value. But why should I waste time here? I will anyways get this figure here. Na?
Got it. So
okay, we don't waste time, because see, we are not doing maths where we need to find out both values through equation. Ultimately, my other values coming in my table.
Yeah. So, thank you.
Perfect. So students, in this sum, we first did primary distribution. This is my primary. Then I did secondary distribution where I use the equation method. And now I have got total overheads of each of my department, that is production plus service. Now I will use my base. And when I divide this total overheads by my base, I will get my overhead recovery rate, which is in short called as ORR. You can also call it as overhead charging rate or overhead absorption rate. Now, what is the base? They have mentioned in the sum. So what does the question says? Calculate the overhead recovery rates per direct labor hour. So what is the base they have given you or asked you to consider is direct labor hours. Now, interestingly, in the question, they have not given direct labor hours. So again, in my working note 2, I'll find out calculation of direct labor hours. This is not given in the question ready-made. Now, why they have not given in the question ready-made? See, what is the data given in the sum? You know direct wages. Besides this, there is nothing else is given for labor. So the only data we have is of direct wages. Now, what else they have given? They have given here that the wage rate is ₹5, ₹4 per hour. So these are the wage rates. And here we have the wages. So this is wages and this is the wage rate. But what I want is labor hours. So I'm sure you would understand this. How do I get labor hours? It is the wages upon the wage rate per hour. So this I do for PD1. This I do for PD2. So PD1 wages is 95,000. PD2 wages is 50,000. So 95,000 and 50,000. These are the wages figure. Now, what is the wage rate figure? Wage rate is 5 per hour, 4 per hour. So I divided by 5, I divided by 4. So I get the labor hours. I hope you all are getting this. So here my labor hours are 12,500, right? And here my labor hours are 19,000. Please cross verify, students. So now I come back to this table. These are my overheads. Now I'll put down the labor hours which I've just computed. See, these overheads are figures in rupees. So all my figures of overheads are in rupees. Now here I have 19,000 hours. Here I have 12,500 hours. When I divide this, I get my ORR. So it is 2,06,489 divided by 19,000. So I get 10.8678 something. So my ORR here is 10.8678. Similarly, my ORR for the second department will be 155,386 divided by 12,500. It is coming to 12.43088. So these are my ORR for both the departments. So this is how we find out our overhead charging rate in totality, starting from primary, then going to secondary, and then finally going to the final ORR working. So this is the whole working, students. I hope everybody has understood. Anybody having any doubts, kindly raise. Kindly put forward your doubts. Anybody wants to understand something, discuss on something? Yes, Hardik.
सर बाय चांस जैसे यहाँ पे तो दिया हुआ है लेबर आवर्स के लिए, सर बाय चांस क्वेश्चन में कभी कभार होता है कि नहीं दिया हुआ, तो सर हम अजम्पशन लेके कर सकते हैं ना कि डायरेक्ट लेबर आवर्स ले लिया और मशीन आवर्स ले लिया.
करेक्ट.
ठीक है सर, थैंक्स. बस यही पूछना.
Yes, students. Anybody else has any questions or doubts? Hope you all have understood the entire ORR concept working. Anybody wants to ask anything? Arshdeep, Anuradha, Bhaskar, Bhavna, Bani. Dipali, Madhukar, Mahek, Nivetha, Riya, Rojalyn, Sanjana, Shatakshi, Sarvesh, Shweta, Saundarya, Subhiksha, Vinutha, Tisha, Yashashwini. Anybody? I'm just randomly taking names from the sheet. Okay, let me unmute one by one. So Rishita,
Good morning, sir.
good morning, beta. Go ahead.
Sir, in this ORR thing, it will be rupee per hour, no?
Yes, here it will be rupees per labor hour. You're right.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes, Rojalyn.
Sir, can you actually I have missed the last class about ORR. So can you explain me the concept once again?
Beta,
The
sorry, I cannot
theoretical
repeat.
concept only.
Sorry, but I cannot repeat
Only
the
for
whole thing
over,
again.
o-
So, beta, we
not
have
whole
already
thing,
done the
sir.
whole working, na, beta?
Overall only. So then just like here we have taken the labor hours, and then what other basis we can take for?
So, beta, other basis could be the units, other basis could be the machine hours, or other basis could be any of the other costs like the factory cost. These are the other optional basis that you can take.
That will be given in the question, is it?
Yes, that is always given in the question, beta.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, Kasak.
So if it is given in the question that we have to do by a particular method, then we have to choose that method.
Obviously.
If it's not mentioned in the question, then we can choose any method.
Yeah, technically yes, but beta, generally at this level, it won't happen that they will not give you the method, because then, as we discussed in some previous question of somebody, that if you are kept the choice with yourself, everybody will take different methods, and then the question and the answer will go very haywire, and it will be also difficult for the examiner to check. So for standardization, generally in 99% cases, they will be giving, but just that 1% chance, if not given, then you should take your assumption, but generally the assumption should be machine hours. Why? We will be discussing that in our next part after this. I'll be explaining that only after this, that what is the best basis. But generally at this level, it will be given. Is this clear, beta? Yes. Students, you all are having 10 minutes break, because now I'm going to another part. So for that, I'm giving you 10 minutes break. In the meantime, I'm still taking questions, but you all should take a break. Yes, Hardik.
Sir, one last request. Sir, if possible, can you please discuss September 24 question?
What is that question, beta? I'm not having ready here. I have not downloaded that question, beta.
Sir, it is in relation to the machine hour rate.
So, beta, let me first take machine hours. Now I am taking the machine hours only. First, let me take the basics of that.
No, sir. Yes, sir. After basics, if possible, at the end.
No, beta, but I have not downloaded that. So I'll have to first search for that question. Na?
Okay,
I'm not having the question handy here.
Sir, because that question was at a very nice level. That's why I was asking.
Let me check, beta, because I don't have that ready. And unfortunately, you all can also not share it. Otherwise, if you were able to share it, you could have uploaded it here, right?
Sir, if you can ask the tech team, I can upload it on the chat box. You can
But I
download
don't
it.
know now whether that facility we have kept open now. I'm not finding at least that facility available. So we have made changes in the setting. I don't think that is possible. Still, let me check.
Okay, sir.
Tech team, can we just allow him to upload something if possible? Students, we are having a break. Chalo, let us restart. Now once we have understood all the aspects in overhead chapter, let me take you to last two more aspects. The first one is machine hours. The second one is the concept of under or absorption. Now what is this? Let us try and understand. So machine hours and under or absorption. Now we just found out or studied how to calculate ORR, in which we did primary, we did secondary, and after secondary, the total overheads were divided by the base. That base could be anything. Now we'll first talk about the base, because this is a question with everyone. Sir, what could be the basis? Now the answer is there are two types of bases. One is the volume base, or you can say the quantity base, and the other is the cost base. In cost base, you can take the basis as either direct material cost, either direct labor cost, or the prime cost, or any other cost, which could be factory cost or something. Out of this, if you have to take cost as the basis, the general suggestion is you should take direct labor cost as the basis and not any other cost. The reason attributable is, if you observe the overheads, majority of the overheads are linked with time, like rent, depreciation, repairs, salary. If you see the overheads list, they are time-based overheads. And out of all these bases, the only base which is reflecting time is labor, because labor cost is driven or calculated on the basis of time. Similarly, in the volume or quantity base, you have two options. One is the quantity or units of your product, and the other is the hours. Within hours, you have further two options. You have the labor hours and the machine hours. Now, as we discussed, since majority of your overheads, whatever we have seen, are time-based, if we are selecting cost as the basis, our preference should be labor cost, which is including time component. And if we are selecting quantity or volume basis, then our preference should be hours, which is purely time-based. Within hours, it can be any of these hours depending upon the nature of your working. If your production is majorly labor driven, worker driven, you will select labor hours. If it is mechanized, sophisticated, machine driven, you will use machine hours. So what should be the appropriate base? This is the answer. Now, in today's scenario, if you observe, majority of our production has now shifted to being mechanized or even super mechanized with the use of different computers linked with manufacturing. So now only machines are not used, it is machines linked with computers, so that more precision, more speed is gained. So it means now majority of your production work is mechanized or specially mechanized. Hence, the most preferable base is machine hours. If this is the case, we have another category of sums which is called as machine hour rate sums. What is this machine hour rate sums? In this case, instead of doing primary, secondary, and all those steps, we are directly given data of only one of the production departments, which is a machine department. So let us say in our original example, we had three production departments, A, B, C, and service department X and Y. Out of that, let us say we are given only data of department B, which is your machine department. Now, what are you required to do is, you are required to find out the ORR of this machine department. Now, ORR is how primary, secondary, total of that divided by the base. Now, since this department is a machine department, we know that the basis is going to be machine hours. In this sum, we have to simply prepare cost sheet where we will add up all the overhead expense of this particular department given in the sum. That will give us the total cost or total overheads of this department. What we get in primary, secondary, total. And for this total, we will divide it by the normal productive machine hours to get our ORR. So now what we did for all departments combined, A, B, C, X, Y, we first did primary, then X, Y, we
distributed to other departments. We did secondary and we found out total of department A, B, C. And then for each department, we selected a suitable base to find out ORR. Now, out of all this working, let us say you are doing working of only one department at a time, and that department is a machine department. So the primary distribution, secondary distribution is already done. You are given figures. You have to add up these figures to get the total cost of that particular department. And you have to find out this normal productive machine hours, which is your base. Why we are finding out machine hours? Because now the sum is exclusively of a machine department, and dividing both these figures will give you the final ORR, which will be the overheads per machine hour. Obviously, so that will become your machine hour rate. This is okay, students? Now, what is important in this is when we are preparing cost sheet. Now, see, I'm using the word cost sheet because we are making a total of cost. You can call it as cost statement or overhead statement of department B, anything. I'm just simply calling it as cost sheet. Now, when you're preparing cost sheet, you have to be very clear with the data. Now, what is the data? The data required for solving is we want the cost of department B. But as I said, in your total overheads, we are taking only one department B. There is a possibility that the expense given in the sum like rent, like lighting, these may be given for the entire production department, out of which we have to find out only of one department, that is department B. In other words, something what we did in primary, that we did the apportionment, you have to again do a similar working here in the bracket to find out what is the cost of this one department. So remember one thing, while preparing cost sheet, we have to be cautious that we have to find out cost of only one department. And second thing is, again, some of these costs may be given in the sum as per annum, some may be given per quarter, some may be given per month. Obviously, we cannot add up cost of different denominations. Denominations means here the denomination is period. Yearly cost and a monthly cost and a quarterly cost cannot be added because it will not give you a logical answer. So even while taking or calculating these costs, we have to pay attention that we will be considering cost of a single period, which generally is per annum. So it may be per annum, per month. So remember one thing, when you are making this cost sheet or cost statement, you have to keep in mind and you have to minutely work out two things. One is the cost should be for this one department and the cost should be for a common period, generally which can be a year. First point. Second point, when we are talking about department, it may happen that the sum says this department has 15 machines. So since this is a machine department, the entire working is using machines. Now this department may have 15 machines. Again, some of these costs which are given in the data may be for the entire department B, or some of the costs like depreciation, repairs and maintenance, power, these may be for one machine. So some data may be for the whole department, that is for 15 machines combined. Some data may be for one machine. Again, you have to ensure that whatever cost sheet you are preparing should be at the same level. Same level means either you take all costs for the entire department, that is for all 15 machines combined, or you find out this cost for only a single machine. So these are the minute things that we need to focus on in this category of sums, which is called as the machine hour rate sums, where the cost sheet has to be prepared per machine. I'm saying, assuming we are finding out cost of one machine per annum. We will add up all the costs, we'll get total cost. And then the second working is we need to find out normal productive machine hours. Now, if somebody wants to know, sir, what is this normal productive machine hours? I will request recall our mother formula. What is the mother formula? When we want to find out per unit rate, per hour rate, that is the charging rate. In numerator, we take the total cost. So this is your numerator. In denominator, what we take? We take the total hours minus the normal loss. That is what is your normal productive. This we did in material also. This we did in labor also. This you will do in process costing also. Wherever you are doing costing of per unit, per hour, it has to be done by this mother formula where numerator is total cost and denominator is your total quantity or total hours, as the case may be, minus the normal loss. The same thing we are going to do over here. Now, since we are having the base as machine hours, we will start with our machine hours available. So this is your total machine hours minus normal loss. Now, what is the normal loss? It is one is the setup time. That is time to make the machine ready. This happens in the morning. When you start the work, firstly, you have to set up the machine. Setting up means making the machine ready for that work, which involves cleaning, which involves fitting the proper dies, making the settings of the machine ready for that particular work. So that is the setup time. Another normal loss is the time lost in the maintenance of the machine. So you need to do periodical maintenance so that the machine is in good condition and always works efficiently. So for that time, you have to keep the machine off for some time so that you can do the general repairs and servicing of the machine. So these are the normal losses relating to the machine. When you deduct it from the total machine hours available, what you get is your normal productive machine hours, which becomes your denominator in the mother formula. So numerator is cost, denominator is this productive hours. And after dividing this, what you get is your ORR. So this is broadly, students, the concept of machine hour rate sums. Let me take one or two sums because generally all sums are similar in this category. So even if you do one or two sums, you will get an idea. So let me take a sum which has more adjustments so that in one sum you will get an overview of everything. Okay. So I think we can take the first 16th sum itself. 15th is a very small sum. Let me take 16th itself. But in this sum, you don't have that setup time. So let me take 17th. Yes, 17th is good. So students, you have to be very clear when you are reading the question because the cost data may be given for different denominations, different levels. So that you have to be very clear. So I'm reading the sum along with you. It says, there is a manufacturing department. This manufacturing department has added a new machine to its existing 5 machines. So already there were 5 machines in this department. You have added 1 machine. So now your total machines have become 6. Now, the total cost of purchase and installation of the machine, that is only of this new machine, is 7.5 lakhs. And this machine has a life of 15 years. With scrap value of 30,000 at the end. So we know this will help us in calculating the debris of that machine. Now, what you are expecting is you will have total 2,400 hours. How is this hours calculated? If you remember, I had explained this in labor also. We will find out our working days in the year, which will never be 365 because you have weekly off, plus you have some standard holidays for national holidays and also holidays for certain rituals and festivals. So there are 300 working days and you are working only one shift a day, which is of 8 hours. So obviously your total available hours is 2,400. But out of this 2,400 hours, 400 hours will go for maintenance. Now we just saw whatever will go for maintenance has to be deducted because for that much time you are not going to work. So after deducting this, what will be left is our normal productive hours. Fine. So this will be helpful in calculating our normal productive hours. Now, electricity used by the machine will be this much, 15 units per hour at the rate of 8, and no current, that is no electricity, will be required at maintenance. Obviously the machine has to be shut down for maintenance, so no power will be required. Then the machine requires some special oil. The machine has some maintenance cost per week. Then there are 3 operators who are going to operate the entire 6 machine battery. Battery means the entire group of 6 machines. 3 operators together will operate, and then you are given the departmental overheads. So this is how expenses would be given. If you observe, some of these expenses are per month, some are per annum, some are for one machine, some are for all 6 machines. So this is how they will be playing with the figures. This is where we have to patiently read the question and take the appropriate figure. Now with all this, they've asked me to compute the machine hour rate. Now how do I compute the machine hour rate? As I suggested, first we'll prepare the cost sheet or the cost statement. We will select a denomination. Generally, the denomination will be one machine and per annum. This is generally what works everywhere. and then I'll find out the productive machine hours. Obviously, this has also to be for the same denomination, 1 machine per annum. Because if in numerator, the cost that you are going to calculate is for a machine for the whole year, the denominator also has to be at the same denomination. So both cost sheet and normal productive machine hours has to be for the same denomination, which is in this case per machine per annum. So let me take you to this. First is my cost sheet, cost statement, whatever you find appropriate. You may use the terminology. You can also call it as statement of cost. This is per machine per annum, right? Now, what are the different costs? First is the depre. So depre is 7.5 minus 30,000 upon 15 years. So 7,50,000 is my original cost minus 30,000 scrap value upon 15 years. See, this cost was for a machine, and this whole working will give me my depre per annum. So this is my first figure, which is matching with my requirement. Okay. Parallel to this, the other parallel working that I will be making is of normal productive machine hours, which is going to be my denominator. Again, it will be per machine per annum. Fine. Now, here this data is for this only normal productive machine hours. My hours available is 2400 and my maintenance is 400. So hours available minus setup time is not given, so we are not having the data, so that won't be deducted. Only maintenance hours is given 400. So I get my normal productive machine hours. Correct. Then electricity use is 15 units per hour at the rate of 8. So power or electricity, I consume 15 units per hour. And how many hours the machine is going to work? 2000 hours. And the per unit rate is rupees 8. So see, 15 units per hour into 2000 hours will give me the total units I'll be requiring in the whole year. And this multiplied by rupees 8 will give me what will be my electricity bill. Again, I'm sure you are able to relate it with this. This whole is power consumption of one machine, and we have calculated it for the whole year. Correct, students? So parallelly also start doing the calculations. This has come to 48,000. This has come to 2,40,000. Now, the next data is the machine requires some special oil for its heating process. This is replaced once every month, and the cost is 2,500 on each occasion, means per month. So this special oil is into 12 because it is 2,500 on each occasion. Occasion is a month. So this per annum per machine is 30,000. So as I said, the cost may be given at different denominations. You have to bring it at one level. Now, estimated cost of maintenance is 500 per week. Now this is interesting. This data is a weekly cost, and they have said that your week is of 6 working days. Now, in order to convert it into annum, I have to multiply this 500 by the number of weeks. Now, had there been no data given in the sum, we would have considered 52 weeks, which is normally the standard. However, here some data is given at the start here that your hours available was calculated on the basis of 300 days in the year. So 300 working days divided by 6 working day in a week. So this is in a year, this is in a week. So I get my working weeks as 50. So had this data not been given, I would have taken 52 weeks. But because of this specific data given in this sum, my working weeks comes out to 50. So out of total year, 2 weeks on an average is going to be holiday, which may be on account of Diwali, Ramzan and other things which stretch for a period. So my working weeks are going to be 50. So this comes out to rupees 25,000 for a machine for the whole year. Next cost is operator. So there are 3 operators who together work on the 6 machines. So we have total 6 machines. Originally you had 5, one you purchased this year. Now, the wages that you pay on an average per worker, per operator is 450 per week. Plus you give them 40% as incentives for their work. So operators wages. Now 450 plus 40% is firstly their wages per week multiplied by 50 weeks multiplied by 3 operators upon 6 machines. So firstly, this is the wages plus incentive of one operator for a week. Multiplying it by working weeks will give you the annual wages. Multiplying it by, see, it is not 30, this is 3 operators. Because there are 3 operators working in this department, but they are working collectively on the 6 machines. So I have divided by 6 because I want the cost of one machine. I hope you all have understood this. So what I'm getting here is 15,750. Kindly cross check. Fine, students. Now next is departmental and general overheads allocated to the machine shop. Machine shop means my entire department. So it is not for one machine. Now it is for my whole department. How much is allocated? Last year, the figure was 60,000. This is last year. Now during the year, there is going to be some inflation. So because of which there is going to be increase of 12.5%. And there is no additional overheads envisaged for the new machine. So because of new machine, nothing separately would be added. What is the general increase is 12.5. Now last year, the overheads had come to 60,000. So departmental overheads last year 60,000 plus 12.5%. This is this year's increase, and this is for the whole department. So I divided by 6 machines, right? So 60,000. So what I'm getting here for this one machine is 11,250. Kindly cross-check, students. Yes, Tambeshwari beta, tell me.
सर इन दिस ऑपरेशन वेजेस 37250 आ रहा है सर मेरा.
कैसे आ रहा है बताइए, आप अपना वर्किंग बताइए.
450 plus 40% multiply 50 multiply 3 divide में 6.
करो वापस कैलसी पे अपने.
यस सर.
वापस करो कैलसी पे.
यस सर.
क्या होता है, बहुत ज्यादा टेक्निकल वर्किंग करने के बाद कभी कभी कैलसी भी हैंग हो जाता है. तो हो जाता है, कैलसी से भी गलती. एक बार चेक कर लो वापस.
यस सर. राइट. सॉरी सर.
ठीक है. Yes, students, kindly parallelly do cross workings because even my calci can hang. Now I'm making a total of all expenses that we computed. So my total comes to 3,70,000. This is the cost of one machine for 1 year. Now once I've got cost, I will divide it by my machine hours, which is 2,000. So my normal productive machine hours is 2,000 hours. When I divide this, I will get my per hour rate, which is called as machine hour rate, which will be this, which is in rupees divided by this. So my ORR for this particular is coming as rupees 185 per machine per hour. Yes, students, please check this. See if you have understood, because this is one of the type of questions that you get. It is really interesting. Anybody having any doubts? Yes, Hardik.
Sir, in point 1 of 17, budgeted working hours is given 24 hours. Sir, it can also happen that these 24 hours could be for all 6 machines, or
Okay,
it will be
see,
all.
understand this. Whenever they have given this, if you remember my last lecture when I was explaining you how do you find out total hours available. I said that you will multiply 8 hours, which is your per shift, by the number
Yes,
of
sir.
days. But this gives you hours of the whole factory as a whole. Now, if you have 15 machines, you'll have to multiply it by 15 to find out total hours of all machines. But if you do not
Okay, sir.
multiply it by this 15, it remains hours of one machine, because that is
Okay,
the
sir.
time for which the factory is open. See, this is the time for which the factory is open. Now, each machine will be for this much hour. So if you want for all machines, it has to be multiplied by 15. Now here, since it is not given that way, it means it is obviously for one machine only. It will not be considered as for all 6 machines combined.
Okay, sir.
Because
Thank you,
it is
sir.
calculated by this, na? Shift hours in the shift multiplied by days. So it will always be for the factory as a single unit. To find out total hours, you multiply it by machines.
Okay, sir.
Yes, students. Anybody else? Any other question? Yes? Fine. Super. So this is the machine hour rate. You have similar type of sums in this. Now let me take you to the last part, treatment of under over absorption, and then if time permits, we'll take your specific doubts, or else we'll take it in the next class. Not a problem, even though the subject is changed, chapter is changing, I'll take your doubts in the next class. Now, what is this under over absorption? This is the last part in this chapter. Now, to understand under over absorption, let me first take you to my previous sheet where I explained you the basics when we started this chapter. So if you remember this was the basics part when we started this chapter. Here, this part. If you recall this. So I had explained that at the start of the year, you make a summary in your overheads register. So in your overheads register, you make a summary of the overheads. How is this summary made? This summary is made by taking all your expenses and dividing it between production, administration, selling. Now, firstly, this is done at the start of the year using the estimated figures. Then you repeat the same process once the year starts with actual figures. So it means this particular overhead register is prepared on actual basis also with actual figures. So as and when you start incurring these expenses, you do this working, you find out the segregated value and you find out this total also. Now this total on actual basis is then debited to the production overheads account, which we prepare in our cost ledger. Now, this is another chapter that we'll be studying later on. That is the cost accounting. In that, in the cost ledger, we prepare each overheads account, ledger account, and the figures that you are getting from the overheads register. As you can see here, these figures are posted on the debit side as actual overheads. The entry would be to cash, bank, as the case may be. That journal entry is simple. For any expense, how we pass the entry, the same entry is passed. But this figure of overheads incurred, you get from the overheads register. Now, this was the debit side. What is the credit side of this? The credit side of this is this cost sheet. So in the cost sheet, when you are charging the overheads, as we have seen here, we find out this ORR, and with this ORR, we start charging to our products. See, this is the cost sheet. In cost sheet, you have charged direct material, direct labor, direct expense. And for overheads, this is the general rule, which I have explained in detail below. So overheads are further classified into production, administration, selling, and each overheads is charged by this formula base into ORR. Now let us say I have 3 production departments, as we just saw in all the sums. So whatever is my base, I will take that base. It may be units, it may be labor hours, it may be machine hours, and I'll multiply it by the ORR, which I've just calculated. So I'll find out the overheads which I have to charge. Now these overheads which I'm charging in my cost sheet in the ledger account, these overheads are getting credited in the overheads and they will be charged to the respective products. So besides overheads, you have the product accounts. Now product accounts are in 3 parts: WIP, FG, COS. So my production overheads which I have to charge. So overheads charged. This is the figure which I'm getting from cost sheet. This figure is transferred here. So I have by WIP. I transfer this figure here in the WIP account. WIP account is the account which is prepared till the product is under manufacturing. Once the product manufacturing is complete, the total cost, whatever I've incurred in WIP account, will be transferred to my finished goods account. This particular cost here represents the cost of finished goods which I'm having in my stores. And out of this, whatever goods are sold, that much cost of goods sold is transferred to the COS account, and this cost is finally transferred to cost P&L account, which is over there called as cost of sales. Against that we put sales, so we get our profit. So see, this is broadly the cost accounting part which you are going to study in detail in the cost accounting chapter. Now what I want to consider here in overheads is that this debit you got on the basis of overheads incurred, which you get from the overheads register, for which the entry is cash bank. And on the credit side, whatever you are charging in the cost sheet, that figure you take from the cost sheet, and the posting is you charge it or transfer it from overheads account to WIP account. So we have WIP account for each product, we have finished goods account for each product, and we have COS account for each product. So these are the 3 accounts maintained for each product, depending upon the stage at which the product is. So whatever overheads you have computed in cost sheet as the overheads to be charged, those will be charged here. So the production overheads are charged here. Along with this, direct material, direct labor, those expenses are charged. And the total of this expense represents the total cost of the finished goods which you have produced, which we call it as cost of production. This amount gets transferred to the finished goods account. So the finished goods account has the figure of cost of production of the goods which we manufactured. Here you have opening finished goods, you have closing finished goods. Here you have opening WIP, you have closing WIP. Now, this figure is representing the finished goods which have been sold. So this value is transferred to the COS account. And this represent what? Cost of goods sold, COGS. And then finally, the value which is called as cost of sales is transferred to the cost P&L. Against that, we have credited sales, what we normally do in P&L, and you get the profit. So this is how broadly cost accounting happens. Now in this whole, this part what we are discussing is relating to the overheads account. Now just see what is happening in overheads account. In the overheads account, broadly 2 entries are being passed throughout the year. One is of overheads incurred and one is of overheads charged. Now this difference is what we are going to deal with now in this part. See. Now the next part what we are going to discuss is what is termed as treatment of under/over absorb overheads. Now I continue that same production overheads account which I prepared earlier. In this, debit is to cash, bank, whatever, and this figure represents the actual overheads incurred by you. This entry is being passed regularly as you keep on paying the overheads. Similarly, here you have by WIP account. This represents the overheads charged using your formula, that is base into ORR, what we do in our cost sheet. Now this figure or this entry is also being passed throughout the year. Now we have reached the end of the year, that is 31st of March. Now when I compare these two figures, firstly remember this is an expenses account. So in your accounting parlance, this is a nominal account which represents expenses and income. So this is expenses account, so it is a nominal account. Debit side is overheads which are incurred, which are actual. Credit side is overheads which are charged, which is charged using this formula. There is always going to be some difference between the two values because this is actual, this is what is charged using this formula. Now, whatever is the difference would be either under absorption or would be over absorption. Now, the sum that we are going to have is show the treatment of under or absorption in cost accounting. So how do we solve this sum? We first find out the amount of under/over absorbed overheads. What is this under over absorbed overheads? It is the difference between the two. Now, this side is the amount of overheads which you have charged. Let us say this value comes to 2,40,000 in the year. And this is the amount of overheads which you have actually paid or incurred, which comes to 2,50,000 in the year. Now what has happened? You have paid 250 and you have charged 240. So you have charged less. How much? 10,000. So this different 10,000 is what is your under absorption, under charging. Conversely, had this figure been 2,75,000. So what has happened? You have paid 250 throughout the year, but you have charged 275. This difference would be then called as overcharging or over absorption. So firstly, what is under or absorption? It is the difference between overheads charged and overheads incurred. So my first answer or first part of the answer would be overheads charged, overheads incurred. I'll write it here. Incurred or actual. Now, how is this charged value derived? Either it would be given in the sum or it would be derived by the formula that we write in cost sheet. That is base multiplied by ORR. Base could be machine hours, base could be labor hours. Now this will give me my value of under or absorption. If I take the figures which I've put over here, it is 2,75,000 minus 2,50,000. So it is rupees 25,000 where my overheads charged is more than overheads incurred. In the bracket, I will call it as over absorbed overheads. Had it been the other way around, this figure would have come negative. I would have called it as under absorbed overheads. So this is the first thing that you do in the sum of under or absorption. First, you find out the figure of how much is under or over absorption. Then comes the second part, which is treatment of under/over absorption. Whatever this figure you have got, let us say in my example 25,000. What we do of that treatment. Now, what do you mean by treatment conceptually? It means, now see, this is a nominal account as I explained. Now at the end of the year, if this account is showing some balance, I'll have to close this account. How do you close? By passing the entry for this difference of 25,000 on the debit side. This is what is the treatment. But the question is, where will I post this 25,000? What would be my ledger account heads where this would be posted? That is what is the meaning of treatment. So for this, the rule is Again, if you remember in all the lectures, wherever we were discussing about treatment of loss during material or loss in labor, always we used to bifurcate it into normal, abnormal. So we will find out how much of this difference is abnormal, how much of this difference is normal. Again, this breakup is given in the sum. So let us say your sum says 20% is abnormal. So 80% is normal. How much is 20% of 25,000? It comes to rupees 5,000. What will you say? I will say transfer to cost P&L account. We all know this. In costing, whenever they have asked for treatment, the treatment is simple, that whatever is the abnormal cost will always be transferred to P&L. Now, whatever is the normal portion, which in my case comes to 25,000 into 80%, it is 20,000. This is transferred to product accounts because we charge normal to the product. Now, I just explained in the previous slide, the previous sheet, that we have products accounts in 3 stages: WIP, FG, and COS. Now, when we say that this has to be transferred or charged to product, it means it has to be transferred to all the 3 accounts. So now I will be transferring this 20,000, which is the normal portion in all the 3 accounts. And if it has to be transferred in 3 accounts, we need again some ratio to divide. What is this ratio? I'm writing in words first. We take the closing WIP, we take the closing finished goods, and we take the cost of goods sold. So these 3 figures become your ratio. Again, these figures are given in the sum. You take these values, whatever is given in the sum, and divide 20,000 in this ratio. So I will get the amount breakup of 20,000 as to out of 20,000, how much will be transferred to WIP account, how much to FG account, and how much to COS account. This is how we do the treatment of this under or over absorbed figure. So first step is you find out the under or absorbed amount. It is by this formula, overheads charged minus overheads incurred. Then treatment is you identify the abnormal and the normal portion. This is given in the sum, the proportion. Whatever comes to be the abnormal portion, the answer is simple. We transfer it to P&L account. Whatever comes to be the normal portion, we have to transfer it to product account, and product accounts are in 3 stages. So it will be transferred to all the 3 in some ratio. The ratio is this. Let me give you a practical view of this to understand it more clearly. So let me take this sum. 24th. Yes, Srini.
Hello, sir.
Go ahead, madam.
Yeah. So that for getting that actuals, there would be a time lag, right, sir? So
There
when
would
we
be-
calculate under and
there
over
would be what?
time lag. So because like, it will be getting an actuals, we will be getting some delay, right? So getting actuals, you will be getting some delay, right?
Correct, beta.
So when we will calculate under and over absorption, is there any time
we are
once we get the
calculating this
actual, then
under
we will
or
calculate
ab-
under
We are calculating this when we are closing our books. Now, when do we close books of our business, beta?
quarterly or monthly?
Yeah. So the same manner, if you are closing it quarterly, you are getting the figures quarterly. If you are closing it annually, I'll say, because we close it when we prepare our final accounts. So books have to be prepared up to March, but practically somewhere in June, July, actually in industries or in all the business houses, they get all the figures in 2-3 months. So finally in June, July, they sit and they prepare their final account. That is the time when they close the books. So these workings practically happen at the end of the year, the month of June, July, when they get all the figures.
So, but is it affect the pricing of the product? Because like we will be adjusting it in annually. So is it affect the pricing of the product initially?
Very good question, beta. So in this case, as we saw, we are adjusting the difference in 3 account heads. What are these 3 account heads? WIP. In WIP, we are adjusting in the closing WIP. In finished goods, we are adjusting in the closing finished goods. So to this extent, the prices are adjusted because these are lying with you as a closing balance. But this third account where we are adjusting it in the amount of the goods which have already been sold, in this there will be no price adjustment. So whatever you are adjusting in the cost of goods sold, that is only an accounting entry. Since these goods have already been sold, now we cannot call back our customers and say that this is the difference. So that is then profit or loss which is borne by the organization itself. Right, beta?
Okay, sir. Thank you. Yeah.
So prices are adjusted only to the extent of stocks that you are carrying. That is these 2 accounts. Fine. Okay. Now, so what is given? A company has estimated that its overheads charging rate is ₹6 per machine hour. So this is the ORR calculated, which is per machine hour. Now during the year, the overheads incurred, that is actually is 395, and the machine hours are 70,000. Now this 70,000 multiplied by 6 will give you the overheads absorbed, and this 395 is the overheads incurred. So I will start solving this. So first is working of my under slash over absorb overheads. It is overheads charged minus overheads incurred. Charged in this case is my machine hours, which is my base, into my ORR. Machine hours are 70,000 hours. ORR is 6. So it is 70,000 into 6. And my actual overheads is 395. So 7 6 are 42. So 4,20,000 is charged. 395 is incurred. So I have a difference of 25,000, which is my over absorbed overheads. So it is the amount which I have overcharged or over absorbed throughout the year. Now, after this, my second part is the treatment of this over absorbed overheads. Now, what is the treatment? I'll find out the abnormal part in this, and I'll find out the normal part in this. Let us read the question further. The cost record showed the following. WIP balance is 8,000 units, which is 60% complete. Finished goods balance is 10,000 and units sold is 32,000. So this is the data given which will be required for apportioning the normal portion. Now this is important for us. 50% is due to abnormal reasons. So balance 50 is normal. 50%. So 50% comes to 12,500, for which my treatment is transfer this to cost P&L account. Balance 50% is normal, which in this case comes to 12,500, for which I will say transfer to product account heads. What are these? That we will again show here. So the account heads are WIP, finished goods, and my COS. What is the ratio that I have to use? I have to take the closing stock of WIP. I have to take the closing stock of finished goods, and I have to take the goods sold. This is going to be my ratio. And in this ratio, I will bifurcate the amount. So I'll get the amount. Now, what is given for this? The WIP balance, you are having 8,000, but since these are semi-finished goods, I try to find out their equivalent finished. How do I find out their equivalent finished? It is said that all these 8,000 units have been worked up to 60%. So 8,000 on which 60% work is done is as good as 4,800 equivalent finished goods. Yes, Abdullah beta. Finished goods is already given as 10,000
Sir.
and 3520. Yes beta, tell me.
आपकी आवाज वॉइस है ना बहुत स्लो आ रही है और बहुत कम आ रही है, सही से समझ में नहीं आ रहा है आप क्या बता रहे हैं.
अच्छा, अभी भी नहीं आ रही बेटा?
नो सर, अभी भी स्लो है एकदम, बहुत स्लो है।
others are also facing the same problem,
अभी सही
students?
आ रही है सर, अभी थोड़ी सही हुई है।
Yes.
यस।
ठीक है, अभी सही है बेटा?
हाँ हाँ, अभी सही है सर।
Okay, so I
थैंक यू।
repeat. So आपका
यस।
8000 closing stock जो बोला है, that is of WIP, that is work in progress, on which you have worked 60%. So 8000 यूनिट्स पे 60% काम किया है, मल्टीप्लाई किया तो you get 4800 means आपने as good as कितने यूनिट्स का काम किया? 4800. Similarly, finished goods stock is given as 10,000 and the goods sold is given as 35,200. So this becomes my ratio for apportioning the normal portion. Normal portion is 12,500. I divide it in this ratio. So it comes to here I get 1200. Here I get 2500. And here I get 8,800. So this is what I get against each account head. So how much I'm transferring to WIP account? 1200 rupees. Finished goods account 2500 rupees. And COS account 8,800 rupees. So this is the treatment which is applicable. Now, क्योंकि ये ledger account है, whatever difference we have got is in the ledger account. So this will also come in the form of a journal entry. Now see, this difference is on my debit side of the production overheads account. So whatever I have identified, like some part I will be transferring it to cost P&L, some part I'm transferring it to WIP, some part I'm transferring to finished goods, some part I'm transferring to COS. So this is the breakup of this 25,000. So if they have asked us to give journal entry would be that all these accounts would be credited and PO account would be debited. So my journal entry in this case would be journal entry, because we are doing accounting. So whatever treatment you are suggesting, that will be done by way of a journal entry. In this journal entry, production overheads account is debited by the difference, which is this 25,000 rupees. And how this difference is treated, it is transferred to all these accounts. So cost P&L, how much we transferred? We transferred 12,500. WIP 1,200. Finished goods 2,500 and 8,800. So this is the journal entry for treatment. Anybody having any doubts with this whole concept of treatment of under over absorption? Yes, Tambeshwari.
यस सर, इन दिस सर हमने किसका डिवाइड किया है 48 मतलब 480 के अंदर?
Can you please repeat, beta?
10,000 in what divided sir?
ये रेशियो ना?
हाँ, ये रेशियो के अंदर
we
किसका
have
डिवाइड?
divided the normal portion ना. सी नॉर्मल के लिए हमने क्या बोला है? ट्रांसफर टू प्रोडक्ट अकाउंट्स. प्रोडक्ट के 3 अकाउंट्स है, तो तीनों में डिवाइड 12,500 को किया है मैंने इन दिस रेशियो. करेक्ट? अंडरस्टूड बेटा? सी जितना एबनॉर्मल है उसको तो एक ही अकाउंट में जाना है, वो तो हमेशा पीएनएल में जाएगा. बट व्हाटएवर इज नॉर्मल which has to be charged to product accounts are 3, so it will be divided in the 3 accounts in this ratio. Correct beta?
Yes sir.
Yes Nitin.
सर सेम डाउट था.
Okay, great. Yes Pooja.
सर अगर अंडर ऑब्जर्वेशन होगा तो भी सेम ही ट्रीटमेंट होगा, मतलब यहाँ पे एबनॉर्मल गेन आ जाएगा लॉस की जगह? और
नहीं बेटा, अभी एबनॉर्मल गेन आया है आपका. अभी जो हुआ है वो गेन हुआ है, क्योंकि हमेशा ओवर एब्जॉर्प्शन इज अ गेन. इसीलिए तो पीएनएल क्रेडिट कब होता है? जब गेन आता है. सो
Yes,
हमेशा
sir.
याद रखिए ओवर एब्जॉर्प्शन इज अ गेन। अब इसी में अंडर एब्जॉर्प्शन होता, समझो ना, मैं इसी फिगर को थोड़ा सा मॉडिफाई करता हूँ। लेट अस से मेरे जो दो वैल्यूज है, राइट, लेट
Yes,
अस
sir.
से दिस इज कमिंग एज 325, समझो ओवरहेड्स चार्ज वाला फिगर है, और ओवरहेड्स इनकर्ड वाला फिगर है 395। So how much is the difference which I am getting? The difference I am getting is 70,000. अब ये आ रहा है अंडर एब्जॉर्प्शन, करेक्ट? ठीक है ना बेटा? पूजा, टॉक टू मी।
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
हाँ, अब मैं क्या करूंगा, मैं बोलूंगा ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ अंडर एब्जॉर्प्शन। इन दिस वापस मैं एबनॉर्मल और नॉर्मल पोर्शन निकालूंगा, समझो वही 50-50% दिया है। सो 50% 70,000 का कितना आ रहा है? 35,000, फॉर विच आई विल राइट चार्ज टू कॉस्ट P&L। एंड जो बैलेंस 35,000 है, मैं बोलूंगा ट्रांसफर टू प्रोडक्ट अकाउंट्स। वापस मैं नीचे ये करूंगा WIP FG COS, मैं यही रेशियो लूंगा 4,800 10,000 35,200। इस रेशियो में आई विल डिवाइड दिस 35,000। ठीक है बेटा? पूजा,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
परफेक्ट। यस विद्या, विद्या गो हेड।
Hello, sir.
हेलो बेटा, टेल मी।
Sir, I didn't understand that how the ratio is distributed.
Which ratio beta? This is given in the sum na? This figure is given in the sum. They have said
Yes, sir.
that closing stock you have 10,000 units, goods sold are 35,200, and for WIP they have said that was 8,000 units, but we all know WIP is semi-finished. So on that, if 60% is work, then it comes to 4,800 finished goods. So
Yes, sir.
WIP into the percentage is coming this. So this is the ratio given in the sum beta, right?
Sir, next that rupees 1,200 I didn't get how is that is.
But a ratio na, now you have 12,500 the normal portion, correct?
Yes, sir.
You divide this 12,500 in the ratio of 48 10 35 200. I calculated the ratio na?
Yes, sir.
So you divide this 12,500 in this ratio of 48,000 10,000 and 35 200, you'll get these figures.
Okay, sir.
Yes,
Thank you,
Bhavna.
सर ओवरहेड के केस में अंडर अंडर अब्जॉर्प्शन के केस में ये एबनॉर्मल गेन है या लॉस है?
बेटा अंडर एब्जॉर्प्शन के केस में लॉस होगा ना, क्योंकि
ओके
अंडर
सर।
एब्जॉर्प्शन होना मतलब क्या, आपने खर्चा ज्यादा पे किया है मगर आप कम चार्ज कर पाए, कम कलेक्ट कर पाए कस्टमर से, तो आपका लॉस हो गया ना।
ठीक है सर।
जर्नल एंट्री में भी उसमें क्या होगा, सी दिस इज द जर्नल एंट्री फॉर ओवर एब्जॉर्प्शन। थोड़ा समझो, अंडर एब्जॉर्प्शन में जर्नल एंट्री एग्जैक्टली उल्टा होगा। ओवरहेड्स विल बी क्रेडिटेड एंड ऑल दीज फिगर्स वुड बी डेबिटेड, करेक्ट? अब अगर
यस
P&L डेबिट हो रहा है मतलब लॉस हो रहा है ना, क्योंकि हम लॉसेस को ही
लॉस।
P&L को डेबिट करते हैं।
यस
सो
सर।
अंडर एब्जॉर्प्शन इज अ लॉस जिसमें आपका P&L डेबिट हो रहा है, ओवर एब्जॉर्प्शन इज अ प्रॉफिट जिसमें आपका P&L क्रेडिट हो रहा है, करेक्ट?
ओके सर।
यस बेटा नितिन।
सर ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ अंडर एब्जॉर्ब में नॉर्मल में वो जो भी अमाउंट आया उसको ट्रांसफर करा है ना P&L अकाउंट में सर?
नहीं बेटा, नॉर्मल को P&L को क्यों करेंगे, हमने एबनॉर्मल को P&L को किया। ये देखो मेरे जर्नल एंट्री में 12,500 किसके आए, अब नॉर्मल के, और जो
यस सर।
नॉर्मल के 12,500 थे वो डिवाइड हो गए, क्योंकि नॉर्मल हम प्रोडक्ट्स को चार्ज करते हैं, तो वो फिर मेरे प्रोडक्ट के अकाउंट्स को चले गए।
यस सर।
सो नॉर्मल इज चार्ज टू प्रोडक्ट, एबनॉर्मल इज चार्ज टू P&L,
ओके सर।
है ना?
ओके सर।
Perfect. So students, see, this is how we do this sum of under over absorption. So with this, we have completed the entire overhead chapter, all its components in detail, along with practical sums. Yes. Now you have to do practice from module, from other relevant institute materials, MTPs, RTPs. And in next lecture, we will discuss on all your doubts that you have on this particular topic. Is this fine, students? So till then, take care of yourself, keep working, keep studying, and we all are there. The entire BOS is there to guide you for whatever problems you have. You can write to BOS If you have a particular doubt, if you want some extra working sessions, you can also join our revisionary class, which we have started for the January batch. Over there, more practical sums are done in that class. So for all extra working practice, you can join that particular batch also, so that alongside your detailed batch of May batch, you can do the revisionary batch of January, where all these and more practical sums are solved in the class. This is okay, students? So please keep working hard. You all have a great future ahead, but that is possible only with consistent, regular efforts. And we all at BOS are there to always guide and support. Fine. Thank you very much for today. Take care and enjoy the festival season. Bye-bye.